In this video, we will learn how to install and get started with Jupyter Notebooks. A Jupyter Notebook is a web application where you can combine code, text, and media of any kind to document your work or assignment. Nowadays, notebooks are everywhere, as it is a great way to explain how something can be done, showing the process step by step. Most of the courses and online resources about data analysis, machine learning, and data visualization are done using Jupyter Notebooks. Before learning how to install it, let me show you an example of a Jupyter Notebook. This Jupyter Notebook is part of the lectures on Scientific Computing with Python by Robert Johansson. I will let his GitHub account in the description where you find not only that particular notebook, but all the collection from his lectures. This is a very detailed introduction to the visualization library called Matplotlib. Note that we have a mix of text and code, and it looks like a book or a PDF document, but in reality, we can interact with it. This experience makes the learning process much more interesting and effective. And before writing our own notebooks, we need to install the Jupyter Notebook library. The official Jupyter website shows two options to install the classic Jupyter Notebook. The first option is via the conda package manager for those using Anaconda. The second option is using pip. As I'm not using Anaconda, I had to install it using pip. And to do that, you just need to open your terminal and type the following: pip install notebook. As I already have notebook installed, I get requirement already satisfied. If you didn't have that installed, you're gonna wait for the library installation. At this point, you also have the Jupyter Notebook library installed. As I mentioned, the Jupyter Notebook is a web application, therefore, we should start the notebook server. To do that, type the following in the terminal: Jupyter Notebook. It will print the information about the notebook server in the terminal, and by default the URL is the HTTP localhost port 8888, as you see here. After typing in the terminal the Jupyter Notebook command, you'll be presented by the notebook dashboard, and the Files tab will show all the content of your current working directory. In my case, I just have that Matplotlib Jupyter Notebook, and the extension IPyNB stands for IPython Notebook. And what can you do here? We can create files or directories. You just go to New, Text, or Folder. If you want to create a new notebook, you're gonna choose your kernel. My only option is Python 3. If I click that, I am presented with a named notebook containing a single cell. And by default, when you create a new notebook, it will be named Untitled. And you can change it. To rename it, just click on it and type the name you wish. In my case, that's gonna be Getting Started. And we are ready to start coding. Let's create a function which adds two numbers. Then we call this function giving as arguments 2 and 3, and we assign the return value to a variable called result, then we print it. Now, how can I run that cell? We can go to the menu, under cell, and we see that there are three options. The first one says run cell. In that case, if I click on it, that cell is executed. And look, we get the output of this command within the cell, meaning that we don't need to open a terminal and run Python to execute this code. And if you want to run the cell, inserting a new cell below it, you just need to go to Cell and select Run Cells and insert below. As you see, the selected cell will be executed and a new cell will be created. A Jupyter Notebook is composed by cells. You can think of each cell as an isolated chunk of code that you can execute individually. To take full advantage of a Jupyter Notebook, you need to understand two basic concepts. Let's try to code the function that we created in the first cell. We are assigning the function call given as arguments 4 and 5 to a variable called result, then we print it. When I execute it, I get the result. And this brings us to our first basic concept. Even though it is a different cell, we are able to access the data stored in memory by other cells. Jupyter Notebook gives us the freedom to run isolated cells in any order. That's what makes this technology very useful, but it also brings a concern. We should take care about the order of the cell's execution. The number in the left side of the cell enumerates the order of the execution. we can see that the top cell was executed first because its execution number is 2, while the bottom cell is 3. If you want to restart the execution counter and clear the outputs, go to kernel and select Restart and Clear Output, then confirm that. As we are free to execute cells in any order, let's run the bottom cell first. We click on it, Ctrl Enter. It raises an exception. Why? It happened because the function is not defined in memory, for the simple reason that the top cell was not executed. Which brings me to the second important concept. The order of the cell execution matters, and the number in the left side of the cell tells us which cell was executed first. Especially when starting using Jupyter Notebooks, that concept takes some time to grasp. Pay attention in the execution order. Let's fix it. One way of doing that is running the top cell, then rerun the bottom cell. That would work. Or we can go to Cell and select Run All. It will run all the cells from top to bottom, similarly to the Python interpreter when running in script mode. Maybe you have noticed that the left margin changed its color from blue to green. That's because a cell can have two modes, and the margin color tells us which mode that cell is current in. Blue means comment mode. This is the notebook level. In this mode we can add, remove and reorder cells. Green means that we are in edit mode. This is when we are typing code or text into a cell. At this moment the bottom cell is blue. It means that its mode is the comment mode. Then we can take that cell and say, now you're the top cell. Or we can insert a cell, above or below. Let's insert above. What if you want to delete that empty cell? Let's go to Help and go to Keyboard Shortcuts. We have different shortcuts for different modes. Here we see comment mode. If I scroll down, I'm gonna see edit mode. Let's look for how can I delete a cell. Now we are in comment mode, and to delete a cell, we need to type D twice. Then let's do that. I'm in the comment mode because it's blue. I press D once, twice. And this top cell was the bottom cell, right? And then I can just take it back. And that's the comment mode. When I click inside that cell, it becomes green and it means that I can start typing. And that's basically our editing mode. Now, how can I switch from green to blue or from the edit mode to comment mode? If I am in the edit mode, I just press Ask. If I want to switch from comment to edit mode, I just press Enter. The other option is you just click inside the gray region. What if you want to create another notebook or open an existing one? You just need to go to the dashboard and look for the notebook you want to open. And if you want to create a new one, you just need to do what I showed before. You go to New and open a new notebook. Let's open the Matplotlib notebook. When we look at it, we see that not all the cells have the execution number. And that's because a cell can either be a code cell or a markdown cell. Markdown cell allows us to add text on it and do not have the execution number. Another way we can tell if a cell type is code or markdown is look at the combo box here. You can think of a markdown as an easy way to write text to be converted into valid HTML, so that the text and all the media you want to display will be available in the web browser. I will not go deep into markdowns in this tutorial. However, if you are interested, I can create a specific video on it. But let's have a look how this header and the hyperlinks are created and apply them to our simplified notebook. Remember, we are in the comment mode. If I just press Enter, we can see the markup language. To create header, we just need to add that hash symbol. Let's then take that example, go to our notebook, I'll insert one cell above, and that cell here is of type code, then we change to markdown, and we paste. Alright, if I execute it, we have our header. Let's change it. I'll say fall in Python. Perfect. Now, how can I create the hyperlink? I just select the next cell, press Enter, and let's take this one as example. Then come back, create another cell, insert below, again convert it to markdown, then paste it. Let's modify that hyperlink. I will add here the link to my YouTube channel and write YouTube channel. If I click on it, it works. As a last example in the Markdown topic, I will add the logo of the channel. Please do not worry about the code itself. I only want to show you that you can add text and media to your notebook. Here I will insert a cell below, convert that to Markdown, then paste the code. And that's the name of the file. And that file should be in my working directory. If not, you just need to give the entire path. If I execute that cell, then I get the logo. To summarize everything we learned in this video, I added all the content to a Jupyter Notebook. In the top, we have the logo and the channel's name as a link to the channel. Then, the main goals of this video. We have what is a Jupyter Notebook, how to install it, and how to start a Jupyter Notebook server. Remember, Jupyter Notebook is a web application. As in any web application, we have a dashboard. And again, the dashboard is that place where you can create files, folders, or notebooks. Then, we talked about two important concepts that we need to understand when dealing with Jupyter Notebooks. We are able to access the data stored in memory by other cells. And the second important concept was the order of the cell execution matters, and the number in the left side of the cell tells us which cell was executed first. Then we talked about cell modes, and the command mode is when that left margin is blue and we are in the notebook level. It means that we can add, remove, and reorder cells. If we just press enter, we're gonna switch from command mode to edit mode, and that's gonna be where you add instructions to the cell. And finally, we understood that a cell can either be a code cell or a markdown cell. And the markdown cell is where you can add text. For instance, this one is a markdown cell. You can add figures, you can embed videos, you can embed actually media of any kind. A markdown is just an easy way to write text to be converted to valid HTML. Because as a web application, you want the information to be displayed in a web. And we also learned that this cell or the markdown cell does not have execution number, only the code cell. And that's it for this video. If you find that content useful, let me know in the comment section what else you would like to learn. Thanks for watching.